Hey everybody, today is December 18th of 2020. In this video, we're going to be talking about the death of Boba Fett actor Jeremy Bulloch, who passed away yesterday, December 17th, at the age of 75. Jeremy Bulloch played Boba Fett in Star Wars, and Boba Fett was the Mandalorian bounty hunter who was responsible for bringing Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. We're going to talk about how his death is connected to the current Disney Plus television series, The Mandalorian, which features a character that is modeled after Boba Fett. The Mandalorian is played by actor Pedro Pascal, who will be in another movie released next week called Wonder Woman 1984. So in this video, we'll discuss how the death of the actor who played Boba Fett is connected to the television series The Mandalorian, also to the numerology of Pedro Pascal. And as we go along, we'll look at Gal Gadot, who is the actress who plays Wonder Woman in next week's film. As we go on, we'll also talk about Captain Marvel, the other big female Marvel superhero, and Brie Larson. We'll also touch on the Pope, too. You'll see that the Pope was born on December 17th, the date that Jeremy Bulloch died. And let's get into how this all ties together. So we're talking about the actor who played Boba Fett. And notice how in the reverse alphabetic order, where Z is assigned 1 through A is 26, the name Boba Fett has a value of 145. He's died at the age of 75, and the number 75, when spelled out, also has this same value of 145. Now remember, Pedro Pascal, who currently plays the Mandalorian, again, the character that's modeled after Boba Fett, he's going to be in the movie Wonder Woman, which opens up next week. And notice how Wonder Woman equals 145. Now, what's also interesting is that in the mainstream media, we got a story about Emmanuel Macron being diagnosed with the coronavirus. And his numerology ties in as well. Notice how he took office on the 14th of May, or 14/5, back in 2017. The name Emmanuel equals 84 in the alphabetic order. And just yesterday, the same day as Emmanuel Macron's diagnosis, Pope Francis turned 84 years old. Francis is the first Jesuit pope. The word Jesuit equals 84. So does the Jesuit order. But looking back at Jeremy Bulloch, we mentioned how the number 75 has matching Gematria with Boba Fett. Well, the age 75 is interesting for another reason. The Mandalorian's most popular character, although it's not the main character, is arguably Baby Yoda, who is also known as the Child. And while Baby Yoda is not the official name of the character, notice how this also sums to 75. Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, was even born in the year 75. The death of the Boba Fett actor is connected to the release of The Mandalorian. Notice how The Mandalorian first aired on November 12th of last year. Well, measuring from that date to the date of the death of the Mandalorian, Boba Fett actor Jeremy Bulloch was 1 year and 35 days. And in the standard alphabetic order, the Mandalorian sums to 135. In the series The Mandalorian, the main character here is called Din Djarin. And notice how his name also sums to 135 with capital letters taken into account. Yesterday's date, December 17th, had what we call primary numerology of 69. This lines up with the Gematria of Mandalorian in reverse. The date's life lesson number was 33, which ties into the last name Bulloch, as seen here in Jewish Gematria. But what we need to talk about is the major riddle with Pope Francis. Now, we talked about this number 69, the date numerology of Bulloch's passing. What's interesting about this date, December 17th, is that it's the first day of Saturnalia, which is a holiday from the ancient Roman culture, a festival of sacrifice. The planet Saturn, in the reverse alphabetic order, sums to 69. But you know what also sums to 69 is the Jesuit order, 69 in reduction. As we mentioned earlier, in reverse, the Jesuit order equals 84. And again, Pope Francis turned 84 on this date with 69 numerology. Pope Francis was born in a leap year, 1936. This year, 2020, is also a leap year. This means that on December 17th, on Pope Francis's date of birth, you'll find that the sun was at 266 degrees of the ecliptic. And why is that very interesting? Well, Pope Francis is the 266th pope in the history of the Catholic Church, which intriguingly is not mentioned on his Wikipedia page. But this number, 266, is coded into the date that he became the pope. See here how he became the pope on March 13th of 13? Well, March is the third month, 3 is the second prime. And as far as the number 13, that's the sixth prime. 266. Like 266, he's the 266th pope, born with the sun at 266 degrees. In Jewish Gematria, the character's name Boba Fett. Remember this actor dying on his birthday. Boba Fett equals 266. We mentioned how the Mandalorian features the main character named Din Djarin. And when you write out Bounty Hunter Din Djarin, you get an ordinal value of 266. Again, the man who currently plays this bounty hunter is Pedro Pascal. And notice how he was born on April 2nd of 1975. This brings us to Dog the Bounty Hunter, who is arguably the most famous bounty hunter in American history in quote-unquote real life. Notice how he was also born on the 2nd of the month. If you measure between these two men's birthdays, you get exactly 266 months. But what makes this even stranger is that Dog the Bounty Hunter had a wife who passed away last year. Beth Chapman, look at the date that she died. The 26th of June, written 26/6. 266 is also significant because it represents the galactic center on the ecliptic. 266 equals 54, just like throat cancer, which is what killed Beth Chapman, Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife. Her death fell exactly 540 days before the man who played Boba Fett. What also stuck out to me about Pedro Pascal and his age on this date is that he's from Chile. He's a Chilean-American actor. And that's very relevant to what I've been talking about for the past several days. This week, we had the only total solar eclipse of 2020, and it began lunation number 1212. And this was a big one because total solar eclipse equals 202 like the year 2020. It also equals 1212 in Sumerian, and this was lunation 1212. So Pope Francis is from Argentina. He's the first ever pope to be born in Argentina. And check out, the only other nation that witnessed this total solar eclipse was Chile. And again, the actor who currently plays the Mandalorian, born in Chile. In Gematria, Chile has a value of 45 and 37. And by virtue of his April 2nd, 1975 birthday, Pascal was exactly 45 years and 37 weeks old. Just some more gematria here. Pope Francis's full name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Say that one 10 times fast. Jorge Mario Bergoglio sums to 201 in the alphabetic order, which is intriguingly the same value as Pedro Pascal's full name, 201. And that's a number that's significant to the Jesuit order, which equals 201 in reverse gematria. Don't forget, guys, it was Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic exercise, held by the traitorous Johns Hopkins University, the treasonous Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All of these people should be in jail. They should be undergoing trial right now for this massive treasonous plot that's being thrown into the entire world, this staged coronavirus pandemic. Event 201 taking place the exact same day that the World Military Games began in Wuhan, China, where we allegedly got this virus from. Make no mistake about it, the Jesuit order was behind that pandemic simulation as well. But check this out. We mentioned how the name Emmanuel equals 84. Emmanuel Macron diagnosed with COVID on the Pope's 84th birthday. Well, in gematria, Pedro Pascal's full name also equals 84. Remember this guy playing the current edition of The Mandalorian. The original Mandalorian dying on Pope's 84th birthday. So this connection to Pope Francis, no doubt, is extremely strong and is what I thought to be the primary part of this riddle. But it turns out there's a lot more. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Pedro Pascal stars in next week's upcoming film Wonder Woman 1984. And again, here we have this 84 number. So fascinating in light of the Pope turning 84 on the date that this all occurred. So we mentioned how Wonder Woman has the same gematria as 75 and Boba Fett. Well, what's also interesting is that Jeremy Bulloch, the name of the actor who died, has gematria of 149. This brings us to the actress who plays Wonder Woman in next week's film, Gal Gadot, whose name also equals 149. Now, what we're going to focus on here is the numerology of the planet Venus. Now understand, planet Venus is most closely associated with feminine energy. And here we have a female superhero, much like Brie Larson, who played Captain Marvel. Both of these people are coded with numbers that represent the divine feminine and feminine energy, as we will talk about as this goes on. For starters, notice how the name Gal Gadot equals 149 and 41. These are the same numbers found in the gematria of planet Venus, 149 and 41, also tying into Jeremy Bulloch. The film is released on Christmas. We'll see here a release date, December 25th of 2020. Also released in the United Kingdom just one day before the death of this British actor. Pretty interesting. But we're focusing on the planet Venus 41, the number that's shared with Gal Gadot. This year, on Christmas, the date of the release of the film, we get a life lesson number of 41. Now, I want to share my full screen for a second here. And what I want to show you is that the Earth and Venus have a unique orbital relationship that ties into the Fibonacci sequence. We're going to talk about 8 years on the planet Earth. And 8 years, if my math serves me correct, would be 2,922 days. So this is the number of days in 8 years on Earth. As you'll see here, it's exactly 8 years. Well, 8 years equates to almost exactly 13 years on Venus. And that's really interesting because 8 is a Fibonacci number. the next Fibonacci number is 13. So you see this all over the mathematics of the solar system, but it's very integral, 8 and 13. So you could say that Venus has an orbital ratio of 13 to 8. Gal Gadot, who plays this Venusian feminine superhero, was born on April 30th of 1985, which means she has 138 birth numerology, again, like Venus's orbital relation to Earth. Gal Gadot was born on April 30th, like I said, which makes her a Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. Now notice when you look at her birthday and the date of the release of the film, there's only one number that's found in both, and that would be the number 57. Life lesson number of her birthday and the standard numerology of the movie's release date. Well, that stands out because when this movie comes out, she'll be 57 Venusian years old. So that's counting the number of Venus orbits. 57 is a number we more closely associate with the moon. The word moon equals 57. It has a 57-degree range of declination. It's interesting that she will be exactly 441 lunar phases old. So the 441 doesn't really stand out, but the fact that it is on her lunar birthday, I guess you could say, is interesting. So this Star Wars actor would have been exactly 27,707 days old on the date of the release of this film. And let's explain why this is interesting. There's a lot of sevens here. Well, 77 is a number that's integral to the planet Venus. Each planet has what we call a magic square, where each row and column of numbers has the same sum. The magic square of Venus is a 7 by 7 square, like the number 77. Check out the primary numerology of the date of the release of this film. Wonder Woman 1984 coming out on a date with 77 numerology. Furthermore, Wonder Woman 1984 equals 77 in reduction gematria. And the woman who plays Wonder Woman is Gal Gadot, and her name is like GG, G the 7th letter, so this is another 77. Now, if you take all these squares, 7 times 7, in fact, when you write out 77, it equals 49 in reduction. 49. Jeremy Bulloch died on a date with 49 numerology. But what's even more interesting is that if you add every single square up in this magic square, you get a total sum of 1,225, as shown right there at the bottom. And when does Wonder Woman 1984 come out? On Christmas Day, written 12/25. And in Jewish gematria, the phrase bounty hunter equals 12/25. Also, how interesting is it that 77, this number is so closely linked to the magic square, it's amazing. As we mentioned, there's 49 squares in this square, and 77 equals 49, which is 7 times 7. Well, if you add every row or column up in this square, you get a sum of 175, and that's the ordinal value of 77. So I want to talk a little bit more about this movie, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but the year 1984 is all the rage here in 2020. And this actually ties back to Anthony Fauci, who is this New World Order figurehead whose job is to confuse and control the masses with swaths of disinformation and intentionally confusing information. This piece of crap took office in the year 1984. And remember 1984, the book by George Orwell talking about a dystopian future state? Well, make no mistake about it, 1984 was really talking about the year 2020. Notice how 1984 equals 220 in the alphabetic order. 22 is a master number. Master is 22. It's called the master builder number, 220. And Fauci is part of a large group of secret society members who are trying to rebuild this society with something called the coronavirus pandemic, which equals 220. The virus that they're saying is responsible for this pandemic is called orthocoronavirinae, which sums to 220. And now the government is trying to get us all vaccinated with Operation Warp Speed, which equals 220. Don't take it, guys. It'll fuck you up. So again, 1984 equals 220, but notice how in the reverse value, it sums to 266. Remember the huge 266 riddle with the death of the actor who played Boba Fett, which sums to 226 or 266. Tying into the birthday of Pope Francis, the 266th Pope, and all of this stuff right here. It's really kind of incredible. There's a couple more things about this movie that stood out, but what I want to mention is that Wonder Woman's real name in the Marvel Universe is actually Diana Prince. And you can rest assured there's more riddles with this film related to the deaths of Princess Diana and probably Prince as well. In fact, she's called Princess Diana, I guess, in some of the comic books. So when you write out Diana Prince, you get this value of 186 with capital letters. And this stands out because this Wonder Woman movie came out exactly, or is coming out, exactly 186 weeks after the first Wonder Woman film. And Gal Gadot will be 1,860 weeks old. Now, the number 186 is found in the gematria of water. Now, why do I mention water? Well, in this post, I have linked to one of Rambo's posts. Rambo has done some phenomenal work talking about how this code of the divine feminine is connected to water rituals. And it's really undeniable. So do give Rambo's blog a look if you want more information on this. But not only is this 186 found in Gal Gadot's age and the name of the character, but notice how water also sums to 67. This is the same value in the same cipher as Gal Gadot. Now 67 is the 19th prime number. Gal Gadot equals 190. 67 also the value of Me Too, this big feminist movement. The word female, also 67. Brie Larson, who played Captain Marvel in the other feminine superhero movie, notice how Brie Larson also has this value of 67. And how interesting is it that when you write out Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, you get this value of 109, which is the same as their two real names in the Marvel Universe, Carol Danvers and Diana Prince. 109. This represents the number 19, which ties us back to the 19th Amendment, which was drafted in the year 1919, which gave women the right to vote. So all throughout history, the number 19 has been associated with advancements for feminism. And I don't think this is the case. I wonder if you add Brie Larson and Gal Gadot, you do not get 109. You get 108. And talking about feminism, and notice how feminism equals 88, which is the value of Gadot in reverse. Pedro Pascal, who stars in Wonder Woman, I noticed how he has birth numerology of both 100 and 28. Feminism equals 128 in reverse. And if you measure from his date of birth to the actress who plays Wonder Woman, you get 10 years and 28 days. So that stuck out. Furthermore, she seems to be connected to Brie Larson, both of these women playing Marvel female superheroes. When you write out the name Gadot, it equals 47. 47 equals 1616, which is how many days young or older than Brie Larson she is. And the name Gadot, just for the record, is a given name, or this is a chosen name by her family. It's easy to find news articles explaining that her original name was actually Greenstein, but they changed it to Gadot, and now you see why. And what I didn't even mention with this water riddle is what the name Gal Gadot means. The name Gal means wave in Hebrew, and the name Gadot means riverbanks, words that both have to do with water. And then Gal Gadot equals 67, just like water. So you better believe her family changed their name with the intention of her becoming an actress and being coded with all these relevant numbers. Sorry, guys, just trying to rack my brain. I know there was something else I wanted to touch on here, but it's kind of slipping my mind right now. If you're interested on this story about Emmanuel Macron, there was some more numerology to this. It was exactly 1,313 days after he took office. 13, like the letter M, Macron and Emmanuel. The date also had 13 numerology. The name Emmanuel sums to 42, just like Saturn. He's currently 42 years old and got diagnosed on the first day of Saturnalia. He was born in 77. Emmanuel Macron equals 77. Cube of Saturn, 777, like President Macron. His wife, Bridget Macron, also has Gematria that matches Saturnalia. And a whole lot more that goes into it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, love, God bless. Is Wonder Woman really from DC? Did I just combine those two this whole time? Sorry, guys, I am not a comic book fan. I kind of make fun of them, so I apologize to any comic book readers out there. But I'm just checking my work here. And in the grand scope of things, this doesn't really matter, right? We know what we're talking about. We have these superhero films with female superheroes. The theme is still there. Just because it's different comic books, this is a Hollywood agenda, not a Marvel or DC agenda. But you're right, this is a DC comic, so my mistake for calling these both Marvel heroes this whole time. I guess I got to get back to that Justice League video game from the 90s. That'll teach me a little bit. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, love, God bless. Talk to you next time. See ya.